Okay, this is the grammar video for Chapter 6, Section 1, specifically focusing on zu. So you should already know that zu means to. It also means for sometimes and at sometimes. It has many uses, but most importantly, you have to remember that it is always dative when we're using it as a preposition, which is how you guys will be using it for this chapter. I have a few example sentences here. The first one says, Ich laufe zur Schule. You should recognize this from level 1, and it means I walk to school. Ich laufe zur Schule. Then the next sentence says, Wir essen Brote zum Mittagessen, which means we are eating sandwiches for lunch. Okay, so this is an example of when we use it, and in English it means for. Wir essen Brote zum Mittagessen. And the third is an example of at. Ich bin zu Hause, meaning I am at home. Ich bin zu Hause. All right, this is not super common, but the phrase zu Hause is common. So it's not super common that we see it as at, but in the phrase zu Hause, which is an important phrase, you definitely need to remember that it's at home, not to home. Now, another thing that goes along with prepositions in general, but specifically zu, is contractions. So that's when two words are put together to form one word, sometimes with an apostrophe, but in German, not typically, unless it's with a verb and subject. But the contraction with zu, because it's using the dative case, there are really only 3 definite articles that can be used with it, and these are dem, der, and den, den being for the plural. The 2 articles, dem and der, are the 2 that we make into contractions. So how it works is we have zu, our preposition, and then our definite article. So zu plus dem becomes zum. Okay, so we just saw that in our previous example sentence, zum Mittagessen, because Mittagessen is neuter. So this is a form that will be applied to masculine and neuter nouns. Zu plus der is zur, and zur is used for feminine nouns. Now I mentioned zu Hause. This is one example of using zu meaning at. It's different from most of the time when we're using zu. So one really important thing is that it does mean at home, and do not confuse it with to home, because that is nach Hause. Nach Hause means to home. So that's what you would say if you're saying, for example, Ich laufe nach Hause. I'm walking home. All right, so the to versus at are important. And it almost seems switched when you think of zu meaning to all the time. So this is zu in a nutshell. It's not super difficult. It uses the dative case all the time. And then the contractions with it are pretty easy, but you need to make sure that you remember them. Also remember the different uses being to, for, or at. Okay, if you do have questions, please make sure that you see me at some point to ask them. Otherwise, do some practice activities, and hopefully you start to realize how easy it really is.